Hi, good to see you. Nice to meet you.
She's a straight talker who's called the Liberal Party a boys' club.
It's been almost a decade since Jackie Lambie arrived in Canberra as a neophyte senator, part of a colourful band that made up Clive Palmer's Senate team.
What do you understand Sharia law to mean?
Well, I think when it comes to Sharia law, to me, it obviously involves terrorism.
But Lambie has learnt much about Parliament, about messaging and about politics since then. On the weekend, the political organisation she began in Tasmania won at least 2 seats in the state parliament in an election which seemed to be mostly about the inability of the major parties to get their act together.
We're wrapped. We didn't have councillors running, we didn't have mayors, we didn't have social media people running, TV personalities or radio personalities. They are normal people. We also don't have big donations coming into us.
Now Lambie finds herself and/or her party in the box seat as power brokers at both state and federal level. In Tasmania, with neither major party winning a majority, the negotiations have begun.
You have to let bygones be bygones. I would hope that, that they've learnt that being nasty during elections is not helpful, and hopefully, they'll take that to their own table and fix that.
Tasmania votes under a different electoral system to the rest of the country, which sees multiple MPs elected for each seat. That makes the outcome a little unclear, but so far the likely outcome seems to be the outgoing Liberal Party winning 14 seats when it needs 18 to govern, while Labor won just 10 of the 35 seats up for grabs. But it was a Seinfeld election, an election about almost nothing identifiable, but brought on by continuing divisions and defections from the Liberal government of Jeremy Rockliff. The most contentious issue in Tasmania is a commitment to spend as much as $1 billion on a new fully roofed football stadium. To outsiders, just why this is contentious might not be clear, since both major parties have sort of committed to it, despite the desperate need for better essential services in the tiny state. One of the few voices now questioning the deal with the AFL is Lambie.
We will need to have a look at that contract. I have no idea what that contract looks like. I'm hoping that contract is not watertight, but what I do know is that more than anything, we need to be injecting money into our health system and also more housing and our education system down there. We need to prioritise. And to me, prioritising a stadium is not prioritising what people of Tasmania actually need.
Meanwhile, at a by-election in South Australia on the weekend, the Malinauskas government won the seat of former Liberal leader Stephen Marshall. But underlying the win was a 9% swing to the Greens. There was a primary swing against Labor. Combined with big swings against Labor in 2 recent Queensland by-elections, these results all have implications for trends in federal politics. But what should also not be overlooked here is the growing organisational and campaigning capacity of minor parties and independents.
We will get all kinds of loony stuff from the Greens on the left, from the Nationals and Liberals on the far right. We understand that. We're a good middle-of-the-road government.
Back in Canberra, we are in our final shortened sitting week before the federal budget. It's been a strange fortnight so far. There's been a brawl about religious discrimination legislation, which very few of us have been allowed to see, and which the Prime Minister says will only proceed if the coalition agrees to bipartisanship.
Australia doesn't need a deep divisive debate at the moment, so in good faith we provided the draft legislation to the opposition. They'll work it through and we'll see what they come back with.
As it stands, it seems that Labor may be about to break an election commitment that it made to the whole country.
And there was a new brawl today about legislation concerning offshore gas developments. There has been lots of internal tensions in the government on this legislation, which involves obligations to consult over gas exploration and the relative powers of the Resources and Environment Ministers to get involved.
The Albanese government legislating a backdoor approvals process for offshore gas developments stinks.
It feels a bit like there is a void in Canberra just now. The Treasurer seems to be trying to fill it with a change of message on the economy. A couple of weeks ago, he was shifting the focus from inflation to concerns about economic growth. This morning there was a lot less gloom and a lot more positives.
We've got a pretty rare trifecta in our economy right now. We've got unemployment coming down, we've got inflation moderating, and we've got real wages growth for the first time in years.
His comments were in part linked to the looming national wage case and the revelation that the government will argue for a real wage increase before the Fair Work Commission.
It takes a while to turn these things around. Thank you.
Whatever Tony said, I agree.
The most important principle is that people on low wages should not be going backwards. People on low wages are the most affected by inflation. People on low wages have the least savings as well.
The government's focus now is almost all on the May budget. It might want wages to rise, but according to the Treasurer, that does not mean there will not be some form of cost of living relief.
We don't see cost of living relief as instead of decent wages growth. The tax cuts that we're rolling out for every taxpayer, or the energy bill relief, or cheaper early childhood education, or cheaper medicines, none of those things are a substitute for getting wages growing in our economy again.
Perhaps what also needs to get going again is some sense of momentum for the Albanese government.